Up.
Says the stream is live on my
They
screen.
do say that. Yes. Okay.
Let me put my glasses on or I won't be able to talk.
All right. So, hey, it's Mike Brennan, and hopefully, we're experimenting with StreamYard today, a new platform. And we're sending out right now. And hopefully, like I say, we're recording as well. I think we are.
Hmm.
And let's give it a shot. So, we have Kathleen Norton-Schock back on the show again today. She's going to be talking about all things involving Michigan Council of Women in Technology. And gosh, if you don't know what that group is, stand by because Kathleen's going to fill you in, right, Kathleen?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that, Mike. I am a 20-year volunteer for MCWT in addition to my normal career, which has had its own stages, as you know, along the way. But we are dedicated to making Michigan the number one state for women and girls in technology, and with a whole concept around inclusion of women in in a field that characteristically, for at least for my entire career, has had fewer women than it should. Let me put it to you that way. Depends on the research, but at maximum we may have 25 to 27% participation of women in tech in the pure technology field, and much less in certain roles like coding, where we're lucky if we have 5 to 7% women, and that isn't getting better. And yet it's a highly paid field, and it is, in fact, the entire technology field, as I'm sure you agree with me, has made major changes in our economy, our culture, all of our businesses. So MCWT has been around over 20 years. I was one of the first people to join with, I always call myself Generation 1.5. And some of my very best friends are people who founded it. And some of my very best friends along the way have been women that I've had the great honor to get to know, because there are a lot of technology women in Michigan, or would be technology women in Michigan, who have led the way in major corporations, and in small corporations and in startups and in entrepreneurship. And all of them agree that to make the field better and to make our world better, we need more girls and women to A, be in the field, and B, be leading in the field. So speaking of leading in the field, today is Monday, October 30th. And if you guys, if anybody out there is in the Lansing area, tonight is our very last ConnectNet event of the year. And it'll be very exciting. It is being chaired by a woman by the name of Terry Takai, a longtime friend and member of MCWT. Terry, among other things, was the CIO for the state of Michigan, which stands for Chief Information Officer, CIO for the state of California, then CIO for the federal government at one point. And now she is, in fact, the senior VP in this next phase of her career of something called the Center for Digital Government, which is dedicated to helping the government on any level, whether it's state, regional, but particularly federal, move into the 22nd century more quickly and more agilely than we have been used to them doing. I'm going to be frank. She wouldn't call it that. She would be more diplomatic. But either way, what the Center for Digital Government does is really wonderful work. But she's just chairing this particular session. And our very honored speaker is the CIO, the current CIO for the state of Michigan, Lauren Clark. And Lauren will be there at Delta Dental headquarters at 4100 Okemos Road in Okemos, Michigan, which is right outside of Lansing, talking about her career, talking about the challenges she faced, and honestly, hopefully doing what, for instance, I've done with my Diva Tech Talk podcasts, and many of us have tried to do, which is A, set an example for other women. Here's where you can go and here's what you can do. And B, talk about all the things she's faced along the way, because the more we talk about those things, the easier it is for all of us to overcome them. So that's our last ConnectNet. ConnectNet is one of our 23 programs that we have for girls and women. It happens to be the last one of this year. We've had some really amazing ones, though. And I do want to talk about one that I talked about in the last show, but just to tell you, it was excellent. Something called Together for Tech, which was a panel program that was aimed at bringing our male allies, and we have quite a few at MCWT, but also having them bring their friends to a panel that talked about how men can help support women in this journey. So the first Together for Tech event, I'm sure it's going to be repeated every year, if not more than once a year, was a crucial platform for enhancing the understanding and collaboration between women techies and men would-be techies and women would-be techies. And some of our amazing speakers were Christine Schuch from CMS Energy, Fei Yang, who is the Director of Enterprise Technology Operations at Ally, Cindy Musser, Heidi Musser, who is currently one of our board members and has been a C-level executive for a long time, and Karen Schnabel, who handles IT service management and infrastructure for Flagstar Bank. So that was recently completed, those two, and those are the last two major programs. But I also just wanted to talk, while we're speaking about the adult programs, we have many programs. And anybody who would like to go and look at our programs can go to www.mcwt.org. And there will be 5 links right across the screen, K through 12, our media room, etc. But touch programs, and you will see that those then divide also. But we have many programs now, and this has been one of the issues as we've been concentrating on girls in K through 12 and the many programs for them. We also, over the last several years, as Chris Rzuski was leading the organization, we grew the number of programs for women who were just entering their career, women middle of the middle of the pack in terms of their career, in terms of their age, and women who were more senior. So one that was really exciting and very, very successful for us was the Elevate program, which was a 5-week experience that we just recently concluded. It was a uniquely combined peer group exchange, and many senior leaders came to speak to the women in the group. And over 40 women gathered just a couple of weeks ago to share the experience, to talk about what they learned, and to make it even better for next year. So that was pretty exciting. I always leave at the girls program, so I wanted to give you a little bit on the adult programs. And speaking of adult programs, and adult beverages, the IT Prom, which is the biggest of our fundraising events, is taking place on November 11th. This year, it's called the Luminescence Gala. We have quite a few sponsors. In fact, just for your information, Mike, and your audiences, we've gone from when I first joined, we had 10 sponsors 20 years ago. We have 143 sponsors now, and they tend to be corporations of all sizes, including the big 3, meaning the big 3 automotives, because we're here in Michigan, and everybody who serves them, but a lot of technology companies, big ones like IBM, ServiceNow, Oracle, and then going down to much smaller companies that are growing rapidly, right, who are supporting our cause, right, which is to make Michigan the #1 state for women in tech. And also that helps them. So the Luminescence Gala, which I always call the IT Prom, is in its 15th year. This is our 15th annual one. It will take place on November 11th from 5 to 11:30 p.m. It is dress up, as you can tell from the name, and it'll be sparkly, as you can tell from the name. And the venue is MGM Grand. And tickets are still available, but they're going very, very fast. Most of our sponsorships have pretty much been sold, but there still probably are places where if people want to come in and do a sponsorship, they can jump in and either buy individual tickets or a table. And I really strongly encourage people to go to www.mcwt.org if they want to be at the premier networking event that is the most fun, that happens to support the technology industry here in Michigan. November 11th, Luminescence Gala. So some other things that I wanted to talk about. We have, as I said, we've gone from a small number of programs over the years to we're at a full 23 programs now, divided among all of our stakeholders, with quite a few being for our girls, of course. And so the next several that still have deadlines that need to be met. In other words, if people want to participate, they should be coming to our website right now. On 11/18, we're having with Wayne County Community College for 2nd through 8th grade girls, Coding for Good. which is being sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's a half-day event. Go to our website at www.mcwt.org. Go under K through 12, and you can find the program and sign up your 2nd through 8th grader to participate. It is a Saturday. Also, as you know, at this point, $3 million in scholarships that we've given away to undergraduate women and postgraduate women, and some special grants for things like hardware and software and education. But we opened this college scholarship program just a couple of weeks ago, and that can be applied for. And the only requirements are that you have a 2.5 GPA and above, that you live in the state of Michigan or attend a university in the state of Michigan, and you can apply for our scholarships. It usually ends either at the end of December or the end of January. It depends on how many applications we get. Last year we had to close early because we had so many applications. So I would strongly suggest that if anybody's interested in it, that again, they go to www.mcwt.org, touch the college scholarship program button, and all the information is there. Also, for girls in grades 5th through 12th, we give out a series of robotics grants every year, as many other organizations do as well. We usually give at least 10, sometimes more, depending upon the grant situation. Our application period, if you are on a robotics team and you want a little extra money to fund what you're doing, we give $750 grants, and that opened on October 20th, and the deadline date is March 8th, because those robotics grants, depending upon where you're doing your work, will kind of shuffle through that period.
And let me also mention, Kathleen, sorry for being tardy, that applies to First Robotics and the Lawrence Tech RoboFest program, and VEX as well, right? It applies to all the robotics programs.
Exactly. Any robotics grant. I mean, again, touch the link, and you'll be able to see. It's very, very easy to apply. So we talked a little bit when we started about the adult programs, and just to sum them up, for the adults, we do Connect Nets. One of our strategies over the last 4 or 5 years that we've been actively pursuing is to grow, because we're so strong in Southeast Michigan, to the west. So we do Connect Nets in Lansing. We do Connect Nets in Grand Rapids. Those are in person, right? We often do our Connect Nets, and certainly during COVID we did them via Zoom. We do Lunch and Learns, which are online. We do something called Together for Tech, which I told you about, is the Male Allies program that will in fact be repeating. We do Ignite Mentoring, which is a 6-month mentoring program where we will help match women who are at certain points in their career with women or men, but mentors who would be more senior, and it's designed to enable women embarking on tech careers to use mentoring to understand the other hurdles they may need to leap over, talk to their mentor about various programs. I think, last week was National Mentoring Day. And so we've been doing mentoring since the beginning of MCWT, and this one has gotten very robust. We do Connect Nets in person in Farmington Hills. And then Reignite is another program that was started by some of our friends at Yangfang, where in fact, it was inspired by them, and we sort of have taken it over and stretched it to all of our sponsors. But for women who want to return to the workforce, we have Reignite, which is a program that is specifically designed for those who want to come back in a technology career. And we do a number of things, give them sources for resources. We match them with mentors. We do a bunch of other things, as you know. Then we talked about Coding for Good already. I was kind of racing through some of this, not knowing how long I had, which is probably about 1 more minute. We talked about the robotics grants. Thank you, Matthew. And I think that's it, except I think everybody should be joining us on November 11th in our sparkly venue for the Luminescence Gala. But if you want to go, better go to our website today to apply for tickets, or if you want to sponsor.
Okay.
All right. Sounds great. And sorry once again for being tardy. I do love this new app smell, but I couldn't get my camera to work with this new app. I had to change a couple of settings. So that's why I was late. So
Okay. Well, yeah, I said it was the first time, and we may have a few issues as we get used to StreamYard. So,
okay.
anyway.
Well, thanks very much, Kathleen Norton-Schock, Michigan Council of Women in Technology. Thanks as always.
And I don't mind being the canary in the coal mine ever, Michael. You know that.
Okay. You did a good job. Thank you. Yeah.
Take care.
All right, we'll
Take care.
And we'll be back in just a second with another segment of the M Squared TechCast, MITechNews.TV. For right now, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And you're watching MITechNews.TV. And there's Tamara on the new app. Hey, all right.
Yep, playing around with this thing. So there's a few things I'm still figuring out, but we'll get this down here cold shortly. So I wanted to introduce again Tamara Shoemaker, who's been on the show monthly. And she's the founder of Michigan Cyber Patriots, which is a program for grade school kids to not only become tech savvy, or at least cyber tech savvy, but also maybe introduce into the concept of becoming cyber tech pros when they become adults, go to college, or whatever it is they plan to do. Did I get that right, Tamara?
Absolutely. And it's sort of the other unintended consequence, but it's a really good one, is that even if they decide not to go into cyber, they will not be that employee that will click on a link, because they will have learned this so much earlier in their career, right?
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. I'm trying to get to my notes here. It's one of those days where I'm new technology, and so I'm.
Well, first of all, why don't you tell folks what Cyber Patriot is, what it is, what it does, who's behind it, that kind of thing.
Sure. So the Air Force Association is behind this. They started this 16 years ago with 8 teams in the state of Florida playing head-to-head against each other in a virtual competition for high school kids. It has branched out now, and it is over 6,000 teams play nationally, and they still are doing it virtually until finals. So it's a very nice, easy after-school program to drop down into the middle schools and the high schools, and that's why I get behind it, because we really, as you all know, we really need more people in the cybersecurity business. I was at a conference this week, and I went to CyberSeek and got what today's numbers are, and it's 14,000 open jobs in the state of Michigan for cybersecurity professionals. Wow. So in the state of Michigan, right, and it was 450,000 nationally. So we need to get to these kids, and we need to have them help us and come get into the workforce, right? And it takes so long for them to work through it that this after-school program really gives them a jump ahead, right? It gets them started in middle school and high school, start thinking about this career, start putting together that educational pathway that'll help it be seamless, so that when they get over there to LTU and all the other centers of excellence in the state, we won't have to start in the remedial stuff. We'll be able to start, midway through and then push them forward a lot quicker, right?
Sure.
And last week we had on the show this chief security officer for the state of Michigan, and was talking about the Michigan Cyber Summit, which I attended, I guess it'd be 2 weeks now ago.
Yep.
And one of the programs he touched on briefly was the one you were involved in on Thursday of 2 weeks ago, I guess. I can't remember what the exact date was. I guess that would have been the 12th.
The day off, the 9th. So it was the 18th and the 19th.
The 19th. That's right. Looking at the calendar, Ron.
Yeah,
right.
And the 19th.
So you were on the 19th, and he said you had something in the neighborhood of 400 kids there.
We had more than that.
Very successful, right?
Yeah, so they expected about 400. They got between 700 and 1,000 students that day. And so that was pretty impressive. That was a lot of high school kids all in one place. And it was a really well done by the state. And I know the CISO is the one who was behind that, Laura Clark. And so sort of, the driving force for that. Her and I had a nice discussion that day, but it's a really cool event because it was an entire conference specifically for them, right? So the speakers were for them, the exhibitors were for the students to get them inspired about careers in cybersecurity. And so it was a really wonderful, it was the first time that we've ever done it that way. Normally all they have for the high school kids is a one-day competition. This time they had an entire conference. So that was really cool, right? It was wonderful to have in the state of Michigan have that happen.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about what the program was for the high schoolers. What, who were the speakers? What did they hear about?
So I think the thing that was cool about it was our state CISO is like the poster child for this kind of a program, for my program even, because she started out as an intern at the state of Michigan, wasn't at all studying cyber at all. She was, and so she told her story. So she had her story and a panel of other folks that had similar stories where they sort of, convolutedly got to cyber, but that they just to sort of show the depth and breadth of the differences that our personalities and differences of the things that interest us and that make us up are all things that we need in cyber for this fight, right? We need all these different people with all these different views, with all these different backgrounds involved in cybersecurity so that we can be secure, right? So that we have it covered and not just same, and then we, are doing the same mistakes, right? So that was really important that we covered that, showed them a lot of different pathways, a lot of different viewpoints about what cyber was. So that was really, really good. Our cybersecurity, the competitions were covered, all the kind of things that they need to know about, how to plan their pathway. It was a really good event.
Cool.
And then I followed it up with one last week that was even more exciting. So last week I was in Kalamazoo for 2 days for the what was it called? Here we got to make sure I get it right. The Michigan Career Quest Southwest. So it was in Kalamazoo, and I expected that I was going to see about 2,000 kids that day because the write-up for that was what it was. 2,000 kids, 8th graders, I mind you. And now we're talking 8th graders. We're talking a little bit more hormonally driven. It was very loud and very exciting.
Middle school teachers deserve combat pay. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. Wild is crazy. The first guys that came off the bus in the morning, oh my goodness, those first couple classes must be real fun for those teachers. They calmed down and they started to pay attention to the different career. They had a manufacturing, they had medical, they had skilled trades, and then they had tech. And so we were in the tech building, and I was partnered up with Stryker. And we had an amazing booth full of cool things for them to do. They were able to play with puzzles. They were able to get, propagandized by me and me giving out my magazine that has all kinds of research and resources in there for them to plan their career. Totally agnostic as far as what school to go to, but all the information nationally that they could use. And then they had the Cyber Patriot game, both the competition and the kid game. The kids games that you can download for free that they have for the K through 5, so that they could actually start playing, right? And they can actually do it. And we had some high school kids come from Gull Lake, some kids that actually play in Cyber Patriot, and they were able to help, explain to the kids, right, peer to peer, right, how cool this was and how exciting a career in this area could be. So it was a wonderful thing. And it was 4,700 8th graders.
Wow. 4,700? Oh my God.
In 2 days.
Yeah.
It was just like every 15 minutes they brought in, they filled the gymnasium with kids. It was a riot. And then I said this speech over and over again, it takes 2 to 4 players or 2 to 5 players to play. It takes 2 computers, and it's right. You just say it over and over and over again.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
So who sponsored that? Who put that on?
At the state of Michigan. That's a normal thing. They do it in the different areas, and I'm hoping to do it now next year. Hopefully I'll be able to do all of the rounds as far as the different areas that they have it. That was the Southwest one.
Yeah, I would imagine they do one for the Detroit area and one for the Capital Region and Northwest and UP and all that stuff, right? So there's probably a whole bunch of these things.
And again, the hands down to those folks that did that, right? So the Kalamazoo Tech Center is the one who hosted it. The National Guard, our Michigan National Guard fed us. And also had a huge exhibit so that the kids could see that pathway, right? So if they can't afford a college, they can go become a Michigan National Guard, which will help pay for their education. So it showed all the different pathways for all the different kids. So it was a really amazing event. And again, I'm excited that the state does that kind of a thing on a regular basis.
It's kind of like I was on a press tour of Israel back in 2017, and we talked about how everybody in Israel, male and female, have to serve in the military.
Yep.
And they take the best and the brightest of them and served in Section 8200, which is their cyber war. I mean, literally cyber war, because they're always being attacked by somebody on the cyber side.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, by going, what the point I'm making, going into the National Guard, that American students could have a similar experience
Mhm.
because they're doing the same thing,
Yes.
here in the United States, just the same as they do in Israel. So,
I think we're really fortunate here in Michigan too, because sort of the Midwest. We happen to have the National Guard's Cyber Center is in Battle Creek, our Battle Creek National Guard base. So we actually have cyber experts. So when I do camps there, they bring us into their secret, little, cyber command, and they show the kids and they talk to the kids about, and what they've said to them before. It makes me crack up is. They say, do you know how long it takes for us to train a pilot? Well, it takes us X amount of months to train a pilot to be a pilot. Do you know how long it takes us to train our cyber people? Years.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so it was like, plus when the pilots go and they go to work in private service, they make X, and the cybersecurity people make Y, which is a lot more.
A lot more why too,
Right.
I'll
And
tell
so,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
so
there it was. It's always a really good visit there to get them that sort of, brass tacks about what it's really like, what it's really like out there in the world. So yeah, it's a very good opportunity. And that kind of leads me into some of the things that I need to talk about as far as like what we need right here in the state of Michigan. So I'm working myself to death. No, I'm loving every minute. Right. It's just, but I want to retire someday, guys.
yeah, I hear you.
So I am looking for more mentors, right? So we have, we've been having regular coaches meetings, and the coaches definitely can use some more mentors. So that's folks from industry that can take their expertise. You don't have to be a cybersecurity expert, but if you're IT savvy, right? You like I can go on Google and look something up, like what's buffer overflow and right. So I mean, it's how all of us operate, right? When the boss asks us a question and we don't know what we're talking about or how to do it, we go on and we Google it, right? Of course, now we have AI to be doing all kinds of different searches and get into all kinds of trouble. But you don't have to be an expert, is my point, right? You don't have to be an expert, but you just have to have a willing heart to want to be able to volunteer and serve your community and help these kids get an idea of what the career path looks like. So that it feels real to them, right? And so that you're also, so that the teacher feels supported, so that the two of you can work together. So you can work with the teacher and you guys can sort of plan the lessons and you can help these kids move along. I really want to have a team go to nationals from Michigan. And so the coaches, we're having regular meetings. We're getting together. They're going to share their secrets. They're going to work together as a team in order to try to get someone to nationals. I'm pretty excited about the way that the coaches are putting in some extra effort this year. And so I'm hoping that folks out in the industry will also volunteer. All you have to do is just email me at tamarashu Gmail, or you can go to our cyberpatriot.com website. And get a hold of me, and then I'll kind of walk you through the process. It's very, very easy. You just register. They'll give you a login and password. You go on and you can see all of the resources that are available to help the team, get where they need to get to nationals. And then the other thing that we need support. So my most recent donation from the the Cloud Security Alliance. I've already gone through it. I've already paid all these events that I have to go to, right? So the state event cost money, materials cost money, the magazines that I give out. I actually completely used up all of the magazines that the printer actually had that does those books for me. So we're going into edition 4. In order for me to buy any edition 4s, I'm going to need some money in the bank. So in order for us to continue, we really need that. And we're going into now a time when we're going to start planning our summer camps, when we're going to start planning our state championship, where we give out trophies, all that kind of good stuff. So you could really make a big difference by donating.
Did you hear that, Mike? She ran out of magazines. Print is not dead. How about that?
No,
How about that? Yeah.
no, it's not dead.
It's
Not
good
dead.
to hear.
I mean, I couldn't hand a kid a digital thing, right? I handed them a magazine, and that magazine is just chocked full of resources for the students. So I made sure every one of the teachers that came got one, whether or not they stopped at my table and got candy or not. If I had to jump over the table and hand it to them, I did. But it's amazing resources, right? Because it has all of the national stuff. So CyberSeek and cyber.org and the NIST framework, so that you can sort of go into it and find out what you want to do when you're going to be, because there's just so many jobs in this area. That's the thing that I think folks are not that are peaks are missing. They keep thinking it's just math, it's just programming, and it's really, really a holistic thing, all the different jobs in cyber.
Yeah. And besides which, if you handed them a thumb drive, you're teaching them to be suspicious of that, right?
Absolutely, we are. Don't plug that into your computer if you find it.
When
Absolutely.
you say Stuxnet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of Israelis.
Well,
Yep.
and especially me, I'm going to be trying to, if I was doing such thing, I'd be trying to buy the most inexpensive drives that I could and then put the Cyber Patriot stuff in there. And you know that's not a good idea either, because you know some of them, when they're brand new, have a little extra all home features that we have to be careful of.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You betcha. All right. Thanks very much, Tamara Shoemaker. We've come to the end of the segment from Cyber Patriot. Once again, give that website out so people can get a hold of you.
So www.mi, Michigan, Cyber Patriot, all one word, .com.
Okay. Thanks, Tamara. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tamara.
All right. We'll be back in just a second with another segment of the M2 TechCast, MITechNews.TV. For right now, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And you've been watching MITechNews.TV.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
All right. Take
Talk
care.
to you later.
Have a nice day.
Too. Oh. And I'm still jockeying around this. I'm still figuring all this out.
You can put me backstage if you want to, Mike. I won't be offended.
Operator error on my part. First time we've gone live with this platform, so there's a few things I haven't quite figured out. But
okay.
One thing we have figured out is Enrico Suave, as we used to call him, Enrico Schaefer from Travers Legal, has joined us again, and we've had him on the show for a long time, right? 10 years or so.
Yeah. How long have we been doing this now? Are we coming up on a 10th anniversary or?
Well, we did it audio for a long time, and now we're video. So it's been a few years. So, and Enrico is a technology attorney, and we've watched him shift from hot topics to hot topics over the years. And now it's artificial intelligence. He was telling me, I was asking him, what are you into these days last week? He's the AI guy. So let's talk a little bit about Travers Legal and what you're doing with AI.
Yeah, so AI obviously is the latest new and emerging technology, and obviously one of the biggest things that has hit the technology stage since essentially the internet itself. So we, of course, at Travers Legal are providing representation to clients in the AI space, but the issues that people are dealing with really start from the ground up. It's like, what's my employee manual? What's my acceptable use policy for AI internally? How do I make sure that my confidential and proprietary information of my company isn't getting fed into a database, which is going to be used to train an AI system and get spit back out to my competitors, right? What of the thousands or tens of thousands of AI tools that are out there, which ones are approved by the company? And then, of course, for the AI companies, they've got all the classic, startup legal issues from becoming a corporation, partnership agreements, IP identification and protection, all of that stuff. So we are full in on that. I'll tell you the more interesting piece, though, which is I get contacted by a lot of people who are trying to leverage AI to be better at whatever it is that they do. And I use AI tools all day long, so I have a very high level experience with using the latest and greatest AI tools.
Matthew?
Interesting. All right. So tell us a little bit about how you happened to get into, this part of the law. I know we used to talk to you about drone law. We used to talk to you about a lot of other things. What led you to this?
So we've always been new and emerging technology is our niche within the law. So we're always representing new and emerging technology companies. So anytime there's a new and emerging technology, whether it's blockchain or unmanned aerial vehicles or software as a service, or back to the days of the internet. So I was doing new and emerging technology when the internet came on the scene. So we take pride in understanding the back end of the technology, how the technology works, and the unique legal issues for that technology. And so not only can we do the legal part, but we also understand what our clients are talking about, what it is they're doing, and what specific challenges are being presented. by that technology in the legal sphere.
Let's explore that topic. What are those challenges?
So AI is interesting, and I'm sure you've read some of them. And the hot ones are certainly data privacy, and making sure that you're, if you're an AI company, are you making the appropriate disclosures? Are you complying with GDPR, CCPA, these privacy statutes, and the many other privacy statutes that are being enacted at a state level? Are you complying with the data privacy aspects with the large language model, the AI system that you're using? And honestly, it's incredibly challenging for these companies to comply with GDPR, the European privacy standard, which is at the very highest level, because the technology isn't really suited to knowing where your data lives, being able to audit and tell each person where their data is being used, and to be able to delete data from an AI platform may or may not even be possible. So you've got privacy. Then you've got copyright. Is generative art, these tools that you can just say, hey, I want you to create a photorealistic drawing of the very famous and infamous personality, Mike Brennan. And I want you to put him in a cowboy hat, and these AI tools will generate that image.
I think it's more like Notorious, but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, it's Notorious, right? You're probably a cowboy hat with guns coming out, but it is that art, is that media that's created subject to copyright. And currently in the United States, the answer is probably not. Generative art and AI system is not an AI system created art. It's not human created. So in the US, copyright requires that a human create the particular work, and doesn't happen in AI. So what's going on with all this AI generated art, this AI generated text? If it's not copyrightable, can it be protected in any way? And the other side of the copyright issue is perhaps the biggest one that you've seen, which is ChatGPT by OpenAI, ChatGPT being the most famous and the AI technology which changed the world. Its chatbot was trained on a data set that included the entire internet. Well, they didn't have any licenses to use that data, any copyright permission to use that data to train their models. So is that fair use? Is it transformative use, or is it copyright infringement for these models to simply ingest publicly available data in order to teach their AI, in order to do the amazing things that it can do?
I was wondering about that, because it seems like it just hoovers up essentially all online content, blogs, news, all sorts of things, to get the stuff that it spits back at you rearranged and repackaged. And I was wondering, content is not produced for free. And, I'm just wondering, what the law is on that. So what's the state of that law right now?
The state of that law is that lawyers win once again, because there is no answer, which means we're going to fight about it for the next decade, hired by paying clients. But generally, the issues are, so MITech News, great resource, great news, Michigan focused, tech focused. You guys must have tens of thousands of articles on MITech News. That was ingested by ChatGPT in order to create that chatbot. Okay. No one called you and asked for permission to use your content commercially, because they're making a lot of money off of their chatbot. So is that copyright infringement? And on the copyright, owner's side, it's like, yeah, if you were to take my content to do something with it, you're going to have to pay a royalty for that. That's copyright infringement. From ChatGPT's point of view, they have two general arguments. The more general argument is, but we can't create these AI models without doing that. That's not really a copyright defense. That's a public policy kind of, we really need to be able to do this in order to improve the experience for all of mankind using AI. The legal defenses are more along the lines of, yeah, but we don't spit that content back out similarly enough that it would create infringement claims, meaning that they transformed your work, your content into something that's enough novel, enough new that it's its own thing and it's not infringement. The problem with that is some of these early systems were spitting out photographs with the watermarks still intact, right? So
Wow.
maybe they weren't quite so dissimilar.
Yeah, getting back to your, I have 54,000 stories in my database, by the way, but I hadn't thought of that. They could just go in and harvest them whenever they wanted to, right?
They can, as long as they've got access to the internet. And keep in mind, ChatGPT, the brilliance of ChatGPT and what OpenAI was able to accomplish is that no one was able to crack the AI nut. And even the people at the very top of the industry thought we were at least 15, 30 years away from the AI that ChatGPT turned out to be. And what they did is, everyone was working with these smaller data sets. OpenAI just made the biggest, craziest data set ever imagined. And then they trained on that, and it turned out that worked, right? So they have this crazy, and a lot of the internet information is garbage, but they trained on that as well. And if you look at some of the responses that ChatGPT spits out, they're, for the most part, amazing, and their expertise is amazing. And the fact that they can create language around your question is amazing. It's astounding. So they were able to do that using large language. What's happening now in AI is it's like, okay, if ChatGPT can do such magic with the junk data that is the internet by and large, right? What if we were to take all of the information in the world about cancer, all the cancer research, all the studies, and create a data set that was just that, and then train an AI model on that? Can you imagine the possibilities? And that's what's happening. It's taking now this LLM model that has worked and trying to repurpose it on very specific niche data to create exponential expertise.
The other issue initially with ChatGPT, which I think is now either 4 or 5, whatever version's out now, is initially it made up a lot of stuff. And so for news folks like Matt and I, you had to really go back in and verify all that stuff. And it really slowed you down to the point where you're questioning, why am I using this if I don't trust it, right? So hopefully it's gotten a lot better now. Yes? No?
I mean, there's some people who say it was better earlier than it is now. But the reality is that there are hallucinations that come from the AI, but they're really on the margins. And depending on the type of information that you're looking for, it can either hallucinate or not. So if you know what kind of questions to ask it, chances are you're going to get spot on responses that are extremely accurate. The other thing is, if you ever, what did we do before ChatGPT? Well, we did Google searches. Well, how accurate are all those results that come back on a Google search, right? I mean, AI is exponentially better than that most of the time, but you do have to check your source. It's definitely a great assistant, but it's not replacing anyone yet, because you're using it in a way to assist what you're doing by way of research, to understand concepts, to understand how you might package a story in your business, right? And then you're doing the heavy lifting on the back end of that. So I always tell people, you need to really think and talk to your AI as though it was a real person assistant who doesn't always get it right, who doesn't always follow instructions, right? But better to have an assistant than not.
Speaking of assistants, I just published a story today that I picked up that there's in Salem, Oregon, they have a humanoid robotics factory that's going to churn out 10,000 robots a month. And it reminds me of the movie I, Robot. Everybody's going to have their personal robot who has AI intelligence. Is that good or bad? So.
Yeah, and it's bad if you can't tell whether or not I'm talking to Matt Roush, real Matt Roush, or in this image on this video, is that really an avatar of Matt Roush? And so like they're making systems that will allow you to be able to verify that you are in fact a human, right? If you can believe it, right? So that
We
you
question
can
that all the
verify
time
you're
about Matt,
human.
but he is indeed a human. So,
Well, could I pass a Turing test? That's the real question.
That is the real question.
all right. So, how do folks connect with you at Travers Legal?
So you can always find me by just doing a Google search of Enrico Schaefer, or go to traverslegal.com and you can find me there. But I've got lots of results that come back on any sort of Google search. So I'm really easy to find. If you just do Enrico Attorney AI, you're going to hit me as the #1 result.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, Enrico Schaefer, AI attorney at Travers Law. We'll be back in just a second with another segment of MITechNews.TV. But for right now, it's Matt Roush.
With Mike Brennan.
And you've been watching MITechNews.TV.
Thanks, Enrico.
Good to see you guys again.
Yeah,
All
take
right.
care.
Take care. All right. Without further ado, it's the
Hey.
lady in plaid, with Lisa Diggs.
Truly a snowy Michigan day outfit there, I'll tell you. So,
Oh,
you're
you're
muted.
muted there. You got to unmute. You got to unmute your microphone.
There you go.
Down
There we
There
go.
we
Yeah, I couldn't read your lips. So I don't know what you said.
I was just saying, I'm in that Christmas spirit with the red today. I thought I'd go.
Yeah, it looks like
And
Santa's
they're saying
helper
we
there.
could get snow on Halloween. So
And it looks like
Yep.
she's got a little UP thing there. I'm
I
not
do
sure if
indeed.
it's a stain or a UP thing.
that's,
So,
yeah, that would be great if I actually managed to spill things and they showed up in the state of Michigan. But no.
okay. Well, Lisa has been doing Buy Michigan now for, I lost track of. She was one of it way back when we were at the studio in Hilton. Remember that, Matt?
Yeah,
She
absolutely.
was one of our first guests. That's got to be 8-10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been at it since 2007. So
Yeah,
Wow.
many moons. So we always assume folks don't know who our guests are, what they do. So here's your chance to do a shameless plug. Take it away.
Buy Michigan Now is a statewide campaign to educate people about businesses that are based in the state, products that are made in the state, and encourage more spending that keeps our dollars locally.
Cool. And when I invited you on the show, you said my timing was perfect because on November 1, what is going to be happening?
November 1st, we will be posting our annual holiday gift guide each year. We do a gift guide that is online at buymichigannow.com. And it's got a variety of categories and items that we've selected in each of those categories that we think are cool. But what's great is when you, if you find something that you're interested in, you could be interested in that product or that company. You click a link, it takes you to that company's website so that you can either purchase that particular product or browse for more products that they offer. And if it's a book, we'll take you to a Michigan-based bookstore to buy it instead of one of those big online places.
Oh, that's great.
What's it called? It's called the Nile.com or no, that's the wrong river. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, all right, Matt.
So I'm just curious, what kind of inventory we're looking at this year? How many products are going to be on the site when it goes live
I'm not
Wednesday?
100% certain. We're still finishing up our choices, but I can tell you that there will be probably 15 categories and about 9 items per category. There may be more categories, but at the moment, that's what we're looking at. You know, it's interesting because every year you think it's going to be the same categories as the previous year, but it really depends on what people are interested in, what new products have come on the market, things like that. It changes up what we put in each year. So until we're done, sometimes we think something's going in one category and then we say, you know what, that's a better fit for this category. So we switch things around.
So what's your hunches right now? What's going to be featured? What categories, what products?
There will be a category. We'll do a for him and a for her category. Obviously, you may find things that are for her in the him category and him in the her category, but just based on background, that's what we'll do. Those are kind of standards. That'll include things. It could be anything from like in the for him category, we've got a great company that you can buy jerky from, but it might also be a really cool hat or a sweatshirt or things along those lines. So it all depends. I think you'll find some journals in the gift guide this year. There's drinkables is a fun category for us. That could be everything from I'm actually enjoying one right now. Fraser Tea is a great company out of Livonia, makes incredibly delicious organic teas. So that'll be in there, but it might also be a bottle of something with a little more kick to it.
Well, Matt would be interested in that. So,
Oh yeah.
And of course, food is always a big part of it because we're just so darn good at it here in the state of Michigan that we have to have it. Plus, it makes a phenomenal gift. I mean, whether you're looking for something that's healthy for someone or you're looking for something that's really sweet, or, a lot of times one of the things I love when people come to our website for is just to find things that they could be serving up for Thanksgiving and the entire holiday season. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a gift. It might just be something you realize should be on your table as you've got people over for the holidays.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about the origin story of BuyMichiganNow.com. Where did this come from? You said back in 2007.
It's 2007. In fact, we're coming up on the anniversary because it was literally the first version of the website went live the day before Thanksgiving in 2007. I had been trying to figure out our economy. I mean, if you can imagine 2007, it was almost as bad as the middle of the pandemic in terms of our economy. Right. And I was just trying to figure out a way to make a difference as a person. And the first thing I thought about was, I haven't been that great about where my spending dollars are going anymore, but it was hard to find the information. So I started doing research, and the day before Thanksgiving, I posted a little gift guide and grocery guide to encourage people to put more local products on their table during the holiday season. And of course, to buy local gifts, because really about 40% of retail happens in this last little bit of the year. And so it makes a big difference whether you shop in the local stores if you want your town to not be empty, shop the local stores in your little downtown to look for gifts during this time of the year. That's a big piece of it. You like going into that sweet little bookstore, buy some books from them. Don't just go in, read something off the shelf and sip something, buy gifts from them, send it. A lot of the local stores now are doing free shipping as well. So it used to be, that you maybe saved a little bit when you bought from one of the big carriers because of shipping, but now you can do well without it. So that was really the start of it. And then about 3 weeks after I put that up, Governor Granholm's office called and said, the governor would like to talk about your campaign in her weekly radio address, which is when I realized it was a campaign and not just something for my friends to get the research I had been doing.
Good old Governor Whitmer, yes. So, how many folks or how many companies or whatever, I guess, are in your database overall? I mean, how many? We're probably talking about a very large number, right?
Yeah, I mean, publicly on the database, it varies because of whether or not people manage to renew themselves and stay up to date with that. We lost a lot out of our database during the pandemic because literally we got lucky enough to launch our new website after 5 years of redevelopment, March of 2020. So a lot of the businesses that were a part of it, we're still chasing them down to try to get them back in there. But as the database that we use, there's probably about 10,000 different companies that we look at to try to figure out which products we might feature. And it's not just during the holidays. People that go to BuyMichiganNow.com will find, we do articles all year long that help you learn about things you might want to have in your cupboard, places you might want to go in the local restaurant to eat at when you get there. We do a lot of, matter of fact, for the holidays, you'll be able to find on our website, you'll be able to find historic homes that you can tour and what else to do when you're in that area and what the best light shows are if you want to take a drive for the holidays with holiday lights and things like that as well.
Interesting. All right. So what has been, what kind of traffic are you getting on this site? I'm just curious, what kind of visitor numbers you get.
Yeah, it's always, I would say we go up about, I want to say we get about 30% of our visitors for the year in this particular window of time once we launch this gift guide. Although now we do 4 gift guides a year. We also do Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day as well. So that has changed things.
Cool.
But yeah, this is the time.
All right. Yeah, I was just wondering if you had expanded. That was going to be my next question. Actually, is expansion beyond just the winter holidays, the Christmas time gift guide, but you just answered that question in advance. So
Yeah, it's interesting because people will come to the website looking for gift ideas the rest of the year, and we don't feel like we want to have something up all the time because, as I said, it really varies based on. I mean, you're not going to have holiday ornaments up when it's March, right? So
mhm.
you have to kind of change those things around. But we did start looking at people buy gifts for Valentine's Day, they buy gifts for Father's Day, they buy gifts for Mother's Day. Let's try to see if we can do all of those. So we do. Those guides are slightly smaller, but just as easy for people to use.
I'm thinking 4th of July would be, right in the middle of summer. You could do Independence kind of day stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
The possibility we've looked at the possibility of grad gifts as well. That probably will appear as an article rather than a full, robust gift guide. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying back when you first started this thing that if everybody would just spend like $20 on local, that would have just an amazing impact on, business in the state, right? I
It is
remember your
the
multiplier.
actual statistic is if every Michigan household shifted $10 of your weekly spending to locally made products, collectively we would put about $38 million. It ends up being $1.9 billion a year
Sheesh.
if we just all actually made that one shift. And we spend all this time talking about incentives to recruit big businesses and new industries and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? We are the industry. If we just all thought a little bit more about where our dollars went, we could actually make that change ourselves without having to do any of that.
Yep. Yeah, and Michigan is home to a whole bunch of really cute downtowns. One of the interesting things about Detroit is that Detroit itself didn't get that big until the 1920s. So you have a whole bunch of towns that are now quote unquote suburbs that really were their own city before. So you have places like Plymouth and Northville and Royal Oak and Birmingham and, all of these little satellite commercial centers. I live near one in Dearborn. And they all have interesting little shops in them where people have really just sort of staked their livelihood on trying to make a go of it and doing something fun as a retailer. And there's literally thousands of those businesses in Michigan, and they're definitely worth exploring.
There are, and what's really cool is that when it's one of those locally owned businesses, they try harder to carry local products as well. You'll find work from local artists in that community and things like that. I was just up in the UP, and one of our members up there, Just Michigan Made, is just filled with products that are from the UP, which we don't get a lot of down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Where is that one?
That one's in Houghton. They also have a location in Marquette.
Yeah. Downtown Marquette is very cool. It's if you can get up there, it's a really neat downtown. A lot of the buildings are made out of native sandstone. This beautiful red sandstone courthouse and churches and other buildings. It's worth a vacation and worth a walk for sure.
No question about it.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting close to the end of the segment here. Mike, did you have another question?
No, I was just going to say the same thing. So
okay. So give us that shameless plug again, Lisa. Tell people how to find you.
It's buy as in BUY, MichiganNow.com, buymichigannow.com. And you'll be able to find the gift guide on November 1st, coming right off of our homepage.
So November 1st, it's not only the day that the Christmas music radio stations start. God help us all. It's also the day that we can buy Michigan Now, and that's a great thing. So thanks very much for being with us today, Lisa. Lisa Diggs, buymichigannow.com.
Appreciate your support. Nice to see you.
Okay.
You too, Lisa.
All right. We want to thank Lisa and all of our guests today. Interesting show today. Nice mix, Mike. A little bit of scary stuff from the AI world and a little bit of happy stuff here from local retailers.
Well, we do our best,
Okay. And yes, we are on a new platform now. Tell your friends. Spread the link far and wide. We will be here Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern time, live here at what's the name of the app again, Mike?
It's called StreamYard, and we're streaming now to my Facebook page, and my LinkedIn page, and my YouTube site. So first time we've gone live with this whole thing, and it's still kind of figure out the little ins and outs, but I'll get on it here real soon.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you again next week. For right now, it's Matt Roush
and Mike Brennan.
And you've been watching MITechNews.TV.
Thank you. Gonna end this stream.